The stock of the day is brought to you by IG, Australia's #1 CFD provider. With over 17,000 markets and extended trading hours, turn US earnings season volatility into opportunity. Get started at IG.com.
Stock of the day is Mineral Resources. Billionaire Chris Ellison is fronting Mineral Resources shareholders at its annual meeting today. In fact, it's Perth time, so yet to get much information, probably just about to get underway, and they're expected to voice their frustration at his conduct with a sizable protest vote against its remuneration report. The stock, of course, down some 50% year to date. Some of that pressure has come amid ongoing weakness in lithium and iron ore prices, and some has also come on investors as they digest various news of historic tax avoidance allegations have enveloped the company and founder, chief executive Chris Ellison. He has agreed to step down within the next 18 months. Investors also pressured the miner after management suspended the final full-year dividend payout to preserve cash. And on the production front, MinRes has announced that Bald Hill lithium mine will move to care and maintenance immediately due to weaker prices and higher cash costs. So let's see what our experts think. Mark, what do shareholders want to hear today?
I dare say they'll be almost handing out rotten fruit at the door to be hurling at the. I don't think it's going to be a pretty aggressive and pretty outrageous sort of AGM. I would have thought it. Particularly if there's shareholders turning up. But overall, I think we've seen how quickly the market forgot about WiseTech and Richard White's alleged behaviour.
It's a bit different though.
It is a little bit. I mean, it's a fair bit different, but I'm just more so that he's given himself 18 months space to step down.
Do you think he's going to survive 18 months?
I wouldn't have thought so, but there's a chance. It was probably the point I was trying to get to, is that markets have such short memories these days. It is absolutely. I mean, Donald Trump being in power is the perfect example of it. Basically, is a man who sets something on fire and then just lights another fire to distract from the original one. But as far as MinRes goes, obviously they've got this transition where they're trying to pay down some debt. The debt was obviously an issue. It's not come at a good time with the lithium price being down as well. But this, where it is sitting here at the moment, we've got long-term buy on this. It's in the buy zone here at the moment. Whether you need to be doing a full allocation at these prices, I don't think is probably that wouldn't be necessary, because I think you've got there's probably a lot of water that has to go under the bridge, and obviously management transition, etc., etc. But if the allegations are true, obviously they're going to pick up some profit margin in quite a few areas in the business. So their machinery will get cheaper and things like that. But yeah, I think look, it's around about fair. I wouldn't expect this thing to rocket back up, anytime soon. There's a little bit too much uncertainty around it, and even just normally without the CEO stuff. If you had this sort of debt, transition to taking away dividends, which I think they had a really long, decade plus long streak of paying down debt, etc. I think you wouldn't necessarily be rushing to buy it right now, but I think you'll probably look back in about 2 or 3 years' time and see this is one of the better buying opportunities. So I'll call it a buy, but I just don't. With the caveat that I just don't think there's necessarily a mad rush just yet.
Just quickly, if he did step aside, I guess it would depend on what capacity he'd end up in. Would that be a concern, just in terms of the direction of the company? Given the power that he's had,
I think
in terms of direction.
I think if 3 years ago, yes, probably. I think at the moment, it's not like they're short of mining CEOs in Western Australia. So and he's not like, I think he's very good at what he does. But this company's at a fairly mature stage at this point, and I don't think it makes a significant difference. I think they'll get a really high quality candidate to come in, given the diversity of what it's doing. So I don't know whether it makes a huge amount of difference overall, but it probably dent confidence a little bit. But obviously if the allegations turn out to be true, then that should probably dent your confidence as well. But man, it's the same with Richard White as well. Like some of these guys are they're in their 70s. It's going to have to happen at some stage. You'd rather it not happen under scandal, but at least these guys have set aside 18 months for a proper transition, and maybe he gets a contract role as a founding CEO like Richard did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing we've ever seen. But we don't know what it looks like yet. So, like I said, I think it's a buy here, but I wouldn't be rushing out to buy it necessarily.
All right, Ben, what are your thoughts? Do you think he's going to survive, and do you see upside for the company?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mark. I think there'll be some sort of arrangement similar to a Richard White WiseTech, where even at the end of the 18 months you'll have some role to play. That's probably not going to be the CEO role, but yeah, in terms of today's action, the AGM, I've actually tuned into the last few results calls, and it's always an entertaining affair. I mean, the previous results calls were analysts throwing rotten fruit, as Mark would say, when it comes to the MinRes balance sheet, and Chris and management team were flat batting them. And yeah, I mean, today's allegations are a bit different, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of vocal parties in the audience. But AusBiz viewers shouldn't tune out, because I don't think that AGM will be aired probably till at least 12:30 Eastern time, and it'll probably take them a while to get through the formal business. So we've still got the main slot at the moment, I think. But in terms of MinRes, yeah, we think it's a buy on a longer term basis. It's had a lot of noise, been one of the most volatile stocks, but just zooming into the actual fundamentals of the business, you've got a mining services division that's probably doing $500-600 million of EBITDA, and growing strongly, and they've got good quality contracts with exposed to volumes rather than fixed price contracts that can get a lot of these kind of players into trouble. Then they've got their iron ore business, which is predominantly the Onslow iron ore project in the West Pilbara. We think that's a really high quality project. They're targeting ramp up by June 2025, aiming for 35 million tonnes per annum run rate. That'll do about $1 billion worth of EBITDA potentially. MinRes majority owns that project. So you add those two up, and you're probably at the market cap or just over, when you include debt as well. And then you've also got this lithium business, which the market's really paying no attention to, or ascribing no value to, which is sort of a mini Pilbara Minerals equivalent. And it's probably worth $5 or $6 billion on a bull case, maybe 3 or 4 on a bear case. So yeah, we think you can pretty comfortably get to $50 to $60 plus, conservatively with MinRes on an asset value basis. And yes, there may be some short-term noise and volatility, but yeah, there's potentially levers that they can pull to realize value for shareholders. So, I mean, fund managers have been in love with Chris Ellison and MinRes for years, which we haven't really bought into at Seneca, but there's no magic capital allocation button. He has done a terrific job, but this has grown from a really small company into a large company. So, there's probably a different level of scrutiny applied to it today. So, regardless of the noise, we think it's got good value here, but just probably needs a bit of sentiment to turn when it comes to both governance and commodity prices.
That is a double buy then, longer term at least, for our stock of the day, Mineral Resources.
The stock of the day was brought to you by IG. Turn volatility into opportunity this US earnings season with extended trading hours on over 110 key US shares. Get started at IG.com.